You're watching Electrical Engineering Lectures channel. For more videos, please do like, subscribe and hit the bell icon for the latest notifications.
Hello everyone. In this lecture of digital signal processing, we will be discussing a very key concept of DSP, which is analog to digital converter. In the previous lectures, we have been discussing the concept of periodic sampling. And that concept of periodic sampling is basically C to D converter, which is a sort of ideal operation because it converts a continuous time signal into discrete time sequence having infinite precision. Because the output of sampling is discretized only in time and not along the y-axis. So the y-axis needs to have infinite precision. But practically, we cannot store those samples having infinite precision and infinite levels. So therefore, a practical system is required, which is basically analog to digital converter. So analog to digital converter will provide us a digital signal having finite precision and finite number of levels. So what is the difference now between C to D converter and ADC, we will see in this lecture, and we will also see the operation of ADC in detail. So first of all, let us have a quick glimpse on the overall architecture of ADC. If the input continuous time signal is XA of t, as shown in this diagram, it will pass through a circuit which is called sample and hold. So this block contains two operations. The first one is sampling and the second one is holding. So overall it will be sample and hold. The first part, which is sampling, has already been discussed in the previous lectures. So that will require the sampling period as an input. So this block is taking capital T, which is the sampling period, as the input, and it will first sample the signal and then it will pass the sampled signal through a circuit or through an LTI system which has such an impulse response, so that it will hold each sample for the duration equal to the sampling period. And the output of this circuit will again be continuous time because it is not discretized in time by the use of the hold circuit. You will see graphically after a while, and this x0 of t will pass through the quantization and encoding stage to convert this x0 of t into a digital signal having finite levels. So formally, ADC is defined as a physical device that converts a voltage or current at its input into binary code representing a quantized amplitude value closest to the amplitude of the input. Right? So before going into the detail of quantization and encoding, first of all, let us discuss what is sample and hold circuit. If you recall, in the process of periodic sampling, what we have done, first of all, we take a continuous time signal and then multiply it with an infinite impulse train. So that process can be written as this particular equation as shown here, that the input analog signal is being multiplied with an infinite impulse train. So the next block will be hold circuit, and that hold circuit, as I've told you earlier, that it is simply passing the sampled signal through an LTI system having an impulse response similar to a rect function. So that impulse response is given by this particular expression, that h0 of t is equal to 1 for the sampling period, and it is 0 otherwise. So it will have an impulse response shape like this, simply equal to 1 from 0 to capital T and 0 otherwise. So this is basically the LTI system which is responsible for holding the sample for a duration equal to sampling period. So if you put h0 of t over here and we multiply and we basically convolve the sampled output with this h0 of t, so that after applying the shifting property we can end up at this equation x0 of t, which is summation x of n h0 of t minus n capital T. So what is the consequence of this sample and hold circuit? We will see here. Let's say we have a continuous time signal xa of t like this, and we pass it through sampling stage. After sampling, let's say we achieve this thing. Extend it further, where this duration is capital T. So you have T, 2T, 3T, 4T, 5T and so on. So these red weighted impulses are basically the output of the sampler, as we have already discussed in the sampling lecture. Now we have to pass this sampled output through an LTI system having impulse response shown by this particular diagram, h naught of t, which is equal to 1 for sampling period duration. Now this output will pass through this LTI system, so it will be convolved. When it will be convolved, then as the consequence of the shifting property, what will be the output? As we have just seen in the slide, the output will be summation n x of n multiplied by h naught of t minus n capital T. So it means we will have delayed rect functions scaled by these values, the same values which we have been using for scaling the impulses. So now what will be the output? If I draw the same thing over this diagram, this is the sampled point. So it will sample and hold for a duration capital T. Then it will get the new sample and it will hold for another capital T. Then it will get the next sample and hold. Then sample, then hold. Then sample, then hold. And then sample, then hold. So this process will be continued, so that this blue output is basically the output of sample and hold circuit. Output of sample and hold circuit. Now this output will be fed to the quantization and encoding stages, right? So in this way, this operation is achieved, which is called sampling and hold. So as a whole, you can see in block level, the complete process can be described by this particular diagram, where xa of t is the input continuous time signal. It is being multiplied with an infinite impulse train to get the output xs of t, and then this xs of t is passed through an LTI system having impulse response h naught of t, and this process is called zero order hold, and the output is denoted by x naught of t. The same process is shown in this diagram also. Now we have to understand the characteristics of zero order hold in frequency domain also. If you see, the time domain impulse response of this sample and hold circuit is given by this diagram. This is a rect function, and since this is a rect function, it means the frequency domain plot of this h naught of t will definitely be a sinc. So if you see h naught of j omega, if you draw this diagram on the scale of omega, it will be similar to this one. It will be a sinc function having amplitude of 1, right? Okay, now if it is a sinc, you see in time domain we multiplied this sample output with the impulse response. So if I write like this, that x naught of t was written as the convolution of xs of t with h naught of t. What will happen in frequency domain? In frequency domain, it will be x naught of j omega. It will be xs of j omega multiplied with h naught of j omega. So we have just drawn h naught of j omega. Now, if we draw xs of j omega also, and what will be xs of j omega? From the sampling lecture, you should recall that after multiplication with impulse train, the original spectrum of the continuous time signal is shifted at integral multiples of omega s. So it may happen that the actual copies were like this. This is the first copy. For example, here it is omega s. Then we can have another copy here at minus omega s. We can have another copy here, and so on up to plus minus infinity, right, with the amplitude of 1 over capital T. So now we have to multiply this black h naught of j omega and this red one, which is xs of j omega, point by point. So if you multiply them point by point, what may be the output? If you roughly draw this output on the same scale, the output x naught of j omega, it will be like this. Maybe it look like this. And here also the same concept. Here this is minus omega s, this is omega s, and this is 0. And the amplitude is 1 over t. So what is happening? You see, after multiplication with h naught of j omega what happened in frequency domain is the actual copy located at 0 is somehow distorted, and furthermore the other copies at integral multiples of omega s, they are being attenuated to a large extent. So you see what is the advantage of zero order hold and what is the disadvantage. The advantage is that after passing through zero order hold, all those copies which are located at plus minus omega s, and of course they are unwanted copies, they are automatically suppressed by the use of zero order hold circuit, number one. And the disadvantage is that the actual copy that we want to retrieve in the reconstruction process after passing through low pass filter is actually distorted by the main lobe of the sink. Now how to change these characteristics? We have a very important controlling factor, which is capital T. If you see the capital T, if you increase capital T, increasing capital T will result in what? In time domain, that h naught of t, the impulse response, it will be h naught of t, it will be expanded. And when it is expanded in frequency domain, h naught of j omega will be compressed. And compression of h naught of j omega means this main lobe will be compressed. And when this main lobe is compressed, it will cause higher distortion, larger distortion to the main copy. So we will not want to have more distortion in this copy. So due to which we will select the value of sampling period so that the zero order hold circuit does not cause much distortion to the main copy. So increasing the value of t, the accuracy decreases. So that is the reason why we do not want to increase the sampling period, because increasing the sampling period will reduce the sampling frequency and the accuracy may be decreased, and definitely we need to keep the sampling rate higher than the Nyquist rate at the same time. So these are some constraints that need to be considered while selecting the design of zero order hold. So the same concept is written over here, that zero order hold filter rejects images, which is a good point, and at the same time spectrum will be distorted, the main copy will be distorted, which is at the same time it is a bad point or the disadvantage.